Hi everyone. So friends, in our last lecture we discussed about @before all and @after all annotations in lifecycle per method mode. So in this lecture we will discuss about @before each and @after each annotation and how it works in lifecycle per method mode. So friends, first we will discuss about @before each annotated methods in lifecycle per method mode. We will see how they work. So friends, we saw that @before all and @after all are used mostly on static methods. But here @before each are not static methods, and those are the instance methods of our test class. And how they become an important part of the lifecycle is that, as the name suggests, @before each. So this name is given in the context of @test methods. So here you can see that this method is called before each and every @test method. So therefore the name given before each, which signifies that they are called before each of every test method. And also friends, they are called multiple times depending upon the number of @test methods present in the test class. So friends, let's say our test class has @test 3 methods. So this @before each annotated method will be called 3 times because they get executed just before each and every @test method. Also friends, in our last lecture we saw that whenever we execute a test class, for each and every @test method, a new instance of test class is created. So the flow is, first the instance of test class is created and the constructor is called, and then before executing our first @test method, @before each is called, and this flow goes on with each and every @test method. Now for what this @before each annotated methods are used. So here you can see it is used to set up instance variables and resources which can be used during @test method execution. Now why it is done, let's say in our test class there are suppose 3 @test methods, and all these @test methods need to test a method of our class. So what we do is we usually initialize a class and then we call a method from our test, and we simply provide asserts on the top of it. So here usually for each and every @test method we create the instance of our class which we want to test multiple times. So instead of doing it every time, what we do is we simply provide the setup of those instance variables in our @before each annotated methods just to avoid the code duplication. And we also know that just before execution of our @test method, @before each method gets called. Thus it is basically used to set up the instance variables and resources which can be used across multiple @test methods. And we do that setup with the only purpose is to avoid the code duplication which we might write across all the @test methods. So friends, similar to @before each, @after each annotated methods gets called after each and every @test method when they are executed in lifecycle per method mode. So this annotation is also used on the instance methods of our test class, and these methods are called after each and every @test method, and they are called multiple times depending upon the number of @test methods present in the test class. So friend, let's say our test class has 3 @test methods. So for each and every @test method, when they are executed completely, @after each method gets triggered. And if there are 3 @test methods, then @after each method gets called 3 times. Now it is basically used for cleaning up of the instance variable and resources which we might have used during @test method execution. So friends, this was all about @before each and @after each annotations and how they are used in lifecycle per method mode. So friends, in the last 2 lectures we saw that how @before all, @after all, @before each and @after each are important part of test class lifecycle. So now let's go to Eclipse and see the demonstration of all these 4 annotations in lifecycle per method mode.